you guys, and welcome back to my channel. I am so excited you guys are here. This week's video, I asked you guys on my Instagram whether you guys wanted to see a college experience kind of stories and me talking about my first semester, or if you wanted to see a day in the life of my normal college day. And you guys, actually those results were 50-50, so I'm going to be doing both, but I'm going to be doing this video first because it's kind of going to make the other video make sense of kind of some of the stuff that I'm going to be doing. So without further ado, hit that subscribe button and let's get into it. Alright, so I actually go to Blinn. For those of you who don't know what that is, it is like kind of a junior college, I think. I was going to go to Texas A&M, and I am going to be going to Texas A&M at some point, but I decided that I wanted to go to Blinn because one, I didn't have to take the SAT or ACT, and two, it's another kind of confusing reason, but if I applied like to go into A&M like as a freshman, your application just goes to like general admissions, but if I'm applying as a transfer student, it goes directly to the admissions office of my major. So my major is education. I want to be a kindergarten teacher. God bless my soul. So I moved here in August. It was like Howdy Week and there was a lot of things to do, so I was like keeping myself really busy. But it was kind of an adjustment because I have 3 sisters and I'm used to them always like being in my room, being in my space, and it was kind of an adjustment to kind of like be on my own. And but I like it. Right when I moved here, I went to Impact Camp. If you guys have never heard of Impact Camp, it is a freshman kind of Christian based camp. So I went to that and I really actually enjoyed it. It was like an amazing experience. I met a lot of really cool people. Although we don't hang out that much because like we are all doing like very different things. A lot of them are in sororities, a lot of the girls I met. Speaking of sororities, when I get into A&M in the fall, hopefully.
You better wish, honey.
I am going to rush. So I've always wanted to rush. I've always thought that like when I went to college I knew I wanted to be in a sorority. But I didn't really know what sorority necessarily, but I actually met this girl during Howdy Week in the Shiner bathroom. Her name is Lexi, and when football season kind of came around, I went and tailgated with her and met a bunch of her sorority sisters because she's a DZ, and that's kind of where I'm hoping to be next year. Excited about that, and that's how I met a lot of my like really good friends, was at that tailgate. I also met one of my best friends the very first day of school. So this is kind of weird, but like for the first 4 days of school, I was a nursing major. Kind of went to the classes and was like, no, not for me. So I met like a girl the very first day of school. Her name is Fallon, and you guys probably saw her in my mukbang. She is literally one of my favorite people. So what I'm basically telling you is you can meet people in classes and also the Shiner bathroom. I've actually met a lot of friends through the Shiner bathroom.
It's true. I mean, I met people this weekend.
Yeah, so I switched my major after 4 days, so that was kind of stressful. One of my classes had a quiz the first day I went in, and I got a 32 because it was a map quiz and I knew nothing. I cried in the hallway and I cried while taking it. It's just so bad, but whatever. I took biology lecture, biology lab, geology lecture, geology lab, and world geography. So I thought the college was gonna be so hard, like ridiculously hard. Like I thought, oh my gosh, what am I getting myself into? I'm never gonna do good in this. Like I was not very good in high school. Like I'm not that great at school, but actually I'm getting the best grades I ever have because it's not pointless work and all that. It's literally, they just teach you what you need to know and you learn it and you take a test on it. That's literally it. Yeah, I did really well in my classes up until the last couple weeks, which I'll tell you about in a second. But before that, I want to tell you guys kind of about my first like couple months at college. So my first like month, like August, September-ish, I was going through some really hard like mental health things. I've always kind of had like a kind of struggle with my mental health, but when I moved up here by myself, it was just like really amplified because I was all by myself all the time, really isolated, and you have to put yourself out there, and or you're not gonna make friends, and you're not with the same people every single day. You're not walking the halls with the same exact people every single day. Like, it's really different and it's an adjustment, and I am one of those people that don't like change. Kind of like set me off and put me in a place that I've never really been before. But I'm going to share with you guys because I know I'm not the only one that's been through it, and maybe I can help you guys by like sharing with you about this, because it is a normal thing. It happens to a lot of people, and it does get better. So I started getting like really sad. I was just sad for no reason. I couldn't get through a single day without bawling, crying. Could not stop. It's not that I'm not grateful for like everything. Like, my parents gave me an amazing setup and it's an amazing opportunity to like go to college, but I was just really struggling. I don't even really know with what. Like, I didn't even know what I was sad about. I was just sad and I just couldn't get myself out of it. And my parents recognized it and they were like, okay, let's talk to some people about it. And so I actually ended up going to the doctor and talking to a doctor about it. And not gonna lie, it was really hard to like sit there and like talk to somebody and be like, admit that these things were like going on. I'm not like suicidal at all, never have been, but like I was just so sad and I felt like I was like in this hole almost, and I couldn't get myself out of it. And that ended up actually really working for me. So about like end of September, it started getting better, and that made it a lot easier for me to go hang out with people, because I was at the point where like I was just laying in bed all the time. I did not want to go anywhere. I didn't want to talk to anybody. And so I started had to kind of start from scratch, like meeting people and like hanging out with friends and like trying to ask people to hang out. So that was really a big struggle for me, but it does get better, you guys. I promise. If you have ever gone through something like this, or if you eventually do go through something like this, like there are ways to help, and like you're not alone. So many people go through it. So everything kind of started looking up. I was doing really good in school. I was making friends. I was going to football games. I was going to the Clemson game, which I was actually third row for, which was so exciting, because if you saw that game was so exciting to be at. I actually got put on the SEC Twitter, which was pretty weird, and I look really bad in it, but here's this picture. I'll probably insert it. Maybe I won't. I don't know. It's probably the worst picture of me ever. So football season was literally so good, but the one thing I regret about football season is that I missed the LSU game, because it was Thanksgiving weekend and I was having my mom's Thanksgiving that day, and I missed that game. But I watched it on TV and I cried when we won in, what was it, 7 or 8 overtimes or something like that. That was like the best game ever. I was so sad I wasn't there, but family Thanksgiving was fun. And then I kind of came back from Thanksgiving and the semester was pretty much almost over, and we had like a week or like 2 weeks left, and then it was Christmas break, or like, no, it was 3 weeks left, and then it was Christmas break. So I went back to school for a week, and then Wednesday, that first week we got back from Thanksgiving, I just came home from school and I laid down in my bed and I just was like, started feeling really bad, and I was like, oh, I don't feel good. Took a little bit of a nap and I woke up and I went to Cane's with my friend, and at that point I was like dying. Like, I was like, I do not feel good. I have not felt this bad in a long time because I'm not a person to get super sick. So I laid down on my bed and I fell asleep until like probably 10 o'clock or something, 10 or 12. And then I woke back up and I was just like so sick. I had like a really bad fever. I don't even know how high it was. I had like chills, I had the sweats. I was like, never felt this bad ever. I've had the flu like when I was really young, but like even that didn't feel this bad. But I was like, okay, it's probably the flu. Like I got my flu shot, but I mean that doesn't prevent you from getting the flu. And I had like pretty much all the symptoms of the flu, except for I had this pain in like my left side that just like started that day and just didn't go away. Like I went to school that day and I was perfectly fine, and then it just hit me. So then I was like calling my mom at like 2 in the morning and I was like crying and I was like shaking, and I decided that night I needed to go to a doctor right then and there because I had school the next day and I was like had tests next week, and I just wanted to make sure that if I had the flu I had an excuse from school to not be there. So I was like dead. And so I decided to go to a 24-hour clinic, but they didn't say that it was an emergency clinic until you like signed the forms, and then they were like, oh, we're charging you for an emergency room visit. So I got like the tags and whatever, and my mom said that I could go if I needed to, and I really felt like I couldn't wait till the next morning. Like I could not make it through the night. Like I would have been up all night just laying there like just feeling awful. The nurses kind of like checked me out, talked to me a little bit, told him my symptoms, told him what was going on, and he came in and he didn't examine me at all. The doctor was just kind of very rude. He wouldn't give me a flu test or whatever. He wouldn't prescribe me Tamiflu so that the flu would go away faster or like whatever. So he basically did nothing, and he was like, well, what do you want me to do for you? And I was like, I don't know, I'm just feeling really sick. I couldn't sleep. I've never felt this bad in my life. And he was like, well, what do you want me to do? Sing you a lullaby? Anyway,
I'm like really upset that I didn't take that opportunity and be like, yes, I do want you to sing me a lullaby.
That turned into a giant mess, and I ended up walking out not paying anything because obviously he was not really doing his job. The next day I was here all day, and then I was just like gonna stay here and then like try to go to class. I stayed the night here again, and then the next day I still was like, I need to go home. I was like, I need to go home. I don't even have any food here. I can't go out there. Like, I need to go home. So my mom got me on a shuttle bus and shuttled me home. Got home, got in my room. She took care of me for 7 days. I was supposed to only be there till Sunday, but I ended up staying like 6 days after I went to the doctor. So I was on like day 7 of being sick, and day 7 of being sick I had a 104.5 fever. I was burning up, literally like dying, and probably one of the worst nights. My fever probably stayed at like 100 or 102 like the whole 7 days, like all day, every day. Sometimes it would break for like an hour, and then, but it was usually in the hundreds. But it was never that high in the hundreds, which is pretty concerning. It was getting worse, and it should have been getting better by this time. We decided that the next morning we would go to the doctor. So I went to my like local doctor there, and she was like, it sounds like it's the flu, but just because it walks like the flu doesn't mean it is the flu. So she was like, I'm gonna do a blood test and see if your white blood cells count is high, and if it's high, it's viral or bacterial. She was trying to see if it was viral or bacterial to determine whether if it was the flu or not the flu. So we took that test, and it was gonna take like time to go to the lab and then like get the results or whatever. So we went home, and then woke up the next day, and I was sleeping in my bed, and my mom came in my room and woke me up, and she says, Lily, we have to go to the hospital. It's not the flu. And I was like freaking out. I was like, oh my gosh, like what's wrong with me? Like what's going on? And at this point I had pain in both my left side and my right side. So we went to the hospital, and we were there like all day. Got tons of tests done. I got chest x-rays, I got blood drawn, I got urine samples, I got everything under the sun, because they were just checking everything off, like, no, it's not this, no, it's not this, no, it's not. This took 3 days to get results. So I went back home. I got like saline and stuff, and because I hadn't eaten or drank in like 4 days. When I would eat something or drink something, I would just throw it back up. So they gave me anti-nausea pills and stuff, and like a general antibiotic for my entire body. So then I went home. 3 days go by, and then my mom was like, we want to get her an IV of the antibiotics, because that seems to be what works the best, because the general antibiotics they gave me weren't really doing anything. And they figured out that I had an infection in both my left and right kidney and getting really sick. So they gave me an antibiotic to help my kidneys. At this point, I had missed a week and a half of school or something like that. So here's kind of where I'm at now. I missed those 4 tests and then my 3 finals. So my teachers were gracious enough to give me incompletes. Yeah, I just started my next semester, so my second semester of freshman year. And I'm doing like all new classes, so I'm in math, Texas history, Texas government, and writing, technical writing. So I'm taking all of those classes, but I'm also taking all of those tests that I missed. So that's kind of why in my day in a life, you're gonna be seeing me probably waking up early to go take a test, or like working on a review or something. A really stressful situation, but I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. So that is kind of a summary of that crazy period of time. And yeah, so my first semester didn't go how I wanted it to go. I never in a million years like thought that I would get sick like this. I never in a million years thought that I would miss my finals. Like, that was just kind of a crazy freak thing that happened. So at the end of the day, you can't control anything. You have to just go with the flow, and the best place to meet best friends is the Shiner bathroom. That's kind of my college experience and kind of like my first semester, like all summed up for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and give it a like down below and subscribe. Also turn on your post notifications so you guys can be notified every single time that I post a video. You know what to do. Bye.